They won't always, though. Once you get in Algebra 2 and pre-calculus, you'll have a little bit tougher problems that won't always check out. But it'll be the same thing. And again, that gives you another reason to pay attention, because once you have to take Algebra 2, guys, you do the same thing. Identical. So make sure you learn it now. Which y'all see, it would be the same way if it was 21 instead of 1, so no big deal there. So we'll just skip on to D. 2x minus 1, the absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals negative 3. You don't have to go any further. Think back to the problem I gave you a while ago. Randy, y'all raise your head up, so y'all don't have to take this again next year. Absolute value of something equals negative 3. That's what? Well, plug in a 2. Let's look at it. Plug in a 2. You'll get the absolute value of 3 equals negative 3, does it? If the absolute value of something is a negative 3, that's all you got to put. You can't have the absolute value equal to a negative. You can take the absolute value of a negative, but the absolute value of something cannot be negative. Any questions? Well, if you know how to do the second part that I'm fixing to go over. Absolute value inequalities. But I bet you don't know how to do it yet. You do? No. Absolute value inequalities can be solved using the following steps. Let's go and try these now. Step 1, you solve the corresponding absolute value equation like we just did. Step 2, you plot the points on a number line. Step 3, pick a number from each interval as a test number. Step 4, the solution is the working intervals. These are tough. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to lie to you, these are tough. So I need full cooperation, I need full attention here to where you can work these. There is another way of working it, but this is how I want you to work them just until we get used to it, and then maybe I'll show you the shortcut later. The absolute value of x plus 7 doesn't equal 3. The absolute value is greater than 3. So here's your steps. Step 1, you solve the corresponding equation. How do you do that? We just did it. Instead of solving this, we're going to solve this absolute value of x plus 7 equals 3. That's step 1. So hopefully these will give you extra practice with the ones we just did. How do you solve the absolute value of x plus 7 equals 3? No. Pay attention. Watch close. So you got x plus 7. If the absolute value of something equals 3, then either x plus 7 equals 3 or x plus 7 equals negative 3. You split it. To solve this absolute value equation, you split it. So x equals, move the 7 over, negative 4, or x equals negative 10. That's step 1. Any questions? Step 2, if we go back to our notes. Step 2 says plot the numbers on a number line. That's easy. Here's negative, 10. Here's negative 4. Any questions about step 2? Step 3. Pick a number in each interval. And when I say each interval, do you see that when you put those two things on a number line, you now have 3 intervals? Dakota, watch this so I don't have to teach it again. You now have 3 intervals. You have this one, and this. Y'all know what an interval is? It's like a group, or a set of numbers. So can somebody give me a number that's in this interval? Negative 11. Good job. Negative 11's over here. What would be in the middle? Negative 5, negative 6. You can use any of them. Any number in that interval. But let me share this with you. Wherever 0's at, use it, because that's going to be the easiest number to plug in, because we're fixing to plug these in. You see that 0's over here? Pick any 3 numbers as long as they're in the intervals and write them in that interval. Next, we're going to test. This is step 4. Test these numbers and see which one of them, and when I say test it, we're going to go back to our original problem. We're going to plug those 3 numbers in, and we're going to see which of those numbers work. We're going to plug in negative 11. Here's negative 11. Absolute value of a negative 11 plus 7 is greater than 3. We're going back and we're taking this number, we're plugging it in. Then we're going to plug in negative 6. Then we're going to plug in 0. We're going to see which ones work. Absolute value of negative 11 plus 7. Does anybody know what negative 11 plus 7 is? Absolute value of negative 4 is greater than 3. What's the absolute value of negative 4? 4 is greater than 3. Is that true? Yes. I'm going to circle it. Let's try the next one. Instead of negative 11, what are we going to test out now? Plug in negative 6. What's negative 6 plus 7? The absolute value of 1 is greater than 3. What's the absolute value of 1? 1 is greater than 3. Mark it out. Does not work. The last one. Take out negative 6 and put in a 0. The reason I use 0, and I told you to use it wherever it's at, 0 is easy to plug in. Absolute value of 7 is greater than 3. That means 7 is bigger than 3. That is true. So here you go. This is the last step. It's a lot of work. That's what I'm saying. This is a lot of steps for one problem. But we need to learn how to do multi-step problems because it leads up, makes us better at these things. Okay, let's talk about this now. Here is negative 10. Here is negative 4. Negative 11 worked. What that means is any number in that entire interval is going to work. If you'd have chose negative 12, it would have worked too. If you'd have chose negative 13, it would have worked too. So here's what we're going to do. Here's the graph of your solution set. Now it combines with last night's homework. The stuff over here works. X might be over here. So we're going to do, since it's greater than, we're going to do an open circle, shade to the left. The stuff over here might work. Makes sense because negative 11 worked. So the stuff over here could be X. Or, do you see that this worked over here as well? Open circle to the right as well. Makes sense. So, X might be here, or X might be here. Do you see this is an or statement? So here's your answer. Here's how I want you to write your answer. X, could you tell me? No, not greater than. X is less than negative 10. What goes between them? Or X is greater than negative 4. There's your answer. X is less than negative 10 or X is greater than negative 4. We'll work another one. I really encourage you to write this down as a work it to where you're going to need to know how to do this. Okay, because a lot of things in math, guys, there's several steps to it, but it's not that hard. A lot of people miss it because it's got multi-steps and people don't like lots of